this is John Davis with Action Coach, Davis Business Coaching. I'm here with Susan Wright, and her business is called Resumes. Let me make sure I just got it screwed up already. Resumes that get jobs.
Incorporated.
Resumes.com.
And that's my website too.
Okay. I wanted to say .com. So Susan Wright, resumes that
get jobs. INC.
Okay. And Susan has a business. We're both here in Georgia. She's up in Northwest Atlanta. Sounds like her business is can be nationwide, and you'll hear about that. And I'm also outside of Atlanta. So with that said, Susan, I'll just kind of give it to you, give the floor to you. What is it that you do, and how long have you been doing this?
Okay. Well, I want to start with just a little bit of background about, myself, because I think it'll make more sense. So when I went through college, I decided I wanted to be a high school English teacher. So I got a degree in English education and then went through right subsequent to my BS degree and got a master's degree. And I started teaching school, and I really enjoyed it. But my husband was, very career oriented. And so he got a big job in Savannah, Georgia, right in the middle of the school year. So we transferred, and I got a school that, let's say they had some issues, they had some riots and things like that. And I had worked at Bell South every summer and even during college to help pay for my education, because there were 3 girls in my family and we were only 1 year apart. So, working was essential.
Yeah.
And so he said, Susan, he said, what are you doing in Savannah? And I said, well, I was going to ask you the same thing. And he said, well, I got promoted to be, the head of small business. And he said, we're hiring especially females for a new sales role called communications consultant. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, go down to Bell South and apply for it and tell them I sent you. And that is how I left education and went into business.
Okay.
And I spent 22 and a half years with Bell South. And in 2008, they were acquired by AT&T. But being a trailing spouse, my husband always had the big time job. I had a good job, a six-figure job. But so he got transferred to Miami, and then he got transferred to Memphis. And I landed this little account called Federal Express.
Nice.
In 1977. And they gave me this account, and I sold them, my team and I sold them all their telecommunications equipment. And then they asked me to come to work for them. And initially I declined because I thought I needed to stay in the Bell system,
Right.
They talked me into it. It's the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't even know the story, but I'm sure it was.
It was. And I had, I basically managed everything. I sold them.
Right.
So it was kind of like a dream come true. And after that, they had no training back in those days. So they started something called the Leadership Institute. It was headed by the Vice President, Roy Yamahiro, who was way ahead of his time. And you got nominated by senior management to join, and you gave up your job, but you got a 20% quarterly bonus if you could help launch this Leadership Institute and train managers. And so I did that for 2.5 years. And then, of course, subsequent to that, my husband gets another big promotion back to Atlanta. I interviewed with both companies, both FedEx. In fact, I had just interviewed with this vice president in Atlanta for a directorship. And I also interviewed with Bell South for national accounts. And so anyway, long story short, I ended up staying within the Bell system. I left FedEx, and I landed this little account called PepsiCo out of New York, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I actually have 2 retirements, one with Bell South, AT&T, and the other with FedEx. And I took an early retirement in 2008, and I was so happy, and my daughter had just graduated from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and she went into marketing. And so she called me one morning about 8 o'clock. Of course, I was asleep. And she said, Mom, you know how you've done resumes for everybody forever? And I said, yes. And she said, I'm going to sell you an ad that's going to put you on the map. And by Jove, she did. And she did my website, and my business just went from inception to, it's grown exponentially over 14 years.
Okay, so that's your business, is helping people write resumes?
Well, much more than that. It started out just resumes, but then I realized there was so much more to the process. So, being an English major, I had done resumes for everybody actually in college, and I just continued to do that. I was fascinated with it. And of course, I love writing is my passion. And so, I said, well, a resume is just the first step. Then you have to market yourself, right? So I started doing LinkedIn profiles and doing a catchy headline with a summary of their qualifications, activated the recruiter dashboard, and attached their newly developed and targeted resume. And they were so successful. They were saying, Susan, you changed my life. They were getting interviews. And then I said, okay, well, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet of the most frequently asked interview questions. Fill them out and send them back to me. And then we'll collaborate and go over your responses, and I'll see if I can improve on them. And I would do mock interviews. And then after that, it just continued to morph. You know what I'm saying? Right. So they said, well, I don't know how much, my current salary, I don't know what my new salary should be. So I found a website called salary.com.
Right.
And I went on that, and you upload their resume and you upload the job description, and the algorithm then will give you what your starting salary should be. So right. I was saying, hey, 58% of job seekers, guess what? They never negotiate a salary. I said, that's not going to be you. Right. We're going to go in there. You have the rationale, and we will negotiate your starting salary right from the get-go, because companies are trying to basically save money. Sure. And then, when you get performance reviews, what happens? You get a 3 to 3.5% increase. That doesn't keep up with the 9% current inflation. Hello. Yep. And so all of a sudden, my clients, and listen, 2 years ago, I stopped advertising.
Okay.
Now, the reason I did that is because I have such a great loyalty program that my referrals come, like I had six new clients last week. And what I tell people is this: if you're happy with my work, then all I ask is that you refer me to another client is looking for a job, and then your next updated resume is on the house.
Okay.
And I have one client that I've done their resume in 12 years. I've done it 4 times. She's gotten 3 promotions.
Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, you can see I have a passion about this, and I decided, okay, I've been doing this 14 years. I have 33 years in corporate America. And I said, so what I want to do now is I want to have a legacy. I want to help my job seekers. I want to take an ordinary job seeker and transform them into an extraordinary candidate that can win the interview, win the job, and have a successful career. And all of my tools that I lay out in this book will do just that.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to the book.
That's my story.
All right, we'll get to the book in just a second. So a friend of mine is a recruiter, legal recruiter. Uh-huh. And I'm thinking I want to connect you guys because he's going to get people, but then part of his job is placing them. And what you're talking about is going to improve the effectiveness of his placement of his candidate. So I think there's a good connection there. I'll connect you on.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for that.
Sure.
And do you know, I'm working with a recruiter right now, and he has clients he wants to hire, and their resume needs a total refresh.
Right. So
he sends those to me, and I do my magic. Yeah.
Perfect. So who's your best customer? Who do you target? Who do you work with the best?
My clients range from college graduates to executives. And
okay.
And I, because I have so many years in corporate America, I know I was in telecom, so I have the IT background. I was in sales, then I was in marketing, then I was in training, I was in product management, all of these different jobs over the course of my career. So, I know a little bit about a lot of things, but my secret is my research, because I just had I'll give you an example. I just had a client who is a director of population health. And I said, what the heck is that?
Right.
I started researching, and she's going for a VP job now.
It's interesting. I was in product management. It seems like anybody who wants to have a diversified experience ends up in product management at one point.
Well, I got recruited for that. I didn't really want to do product management, but I'm glad I did, because it gives you a whole other layer.
Right. Yeah. So, but you mentioned earlier, I think before when we were talking about, you work a lot with college kids. I can't say college graduates, young men and women who are graduating college. Clearly, you can work with executives, but is there one that's of more interest to you right now?
Well, I feel I can have more impact with college graduates, because they really need guidance. Okay. For example, my daughter, who graduated from Alabama, was a marketing major. And she said, she graduated in 2007. And she said she wanted to go into marketing. Well, back then, they didn't have that many entry-level marketing jobs. So I said, here's what you need to do. You need to go into sales and prove yourself. And if you, hit home runs in sales, the marketing department is going to grab you, trust me. And that's exactly what happened to her.
So you're counseling the career path as well.
And so I like to counsel. You can't counsel executives,
right?
But I can write a great executive summary or a great executive bio. And I enjoy doing that. But I feel like I can have more impact for college kids. And that's my dream, is to have my book in every college and university across the USA. That's my dream.
So, and what's the book called?
The book is really, it's got one title and two subtitles. So the book is called Resumes That Guarantee Success, along with how to win the interview and how to win the job, and the 10 top secrets to land a great job.
Okay, that sounds like something a lot of people are going to want.
Hope so.
Let me ask you, the last few years, needless to say, have been crazy in our world, right? So, it's been crazy. We've had issues with the stock market and things like that already, before, but, since you have COVID, right now you have supply chain. I don't think supply chain hit you too much, but certainly staffing. Everybody I talk to says they can't get good people. And then there's people out there who are looking for good jobs, right? So now that's not a new set of statements, but it does seem to be a little bit more acute right now in the rehiring. And now you have people facing a recession, potential recession. So I guess the question to you would be is, over the last few years, how has your business shifted based upon what's going on? I guess I'll leave it at that for now. How has your business changed over the last few years?
Well, it has definitely morphed over 14 years, but COVID, to your point, had it definitely had an impact. And here's what's happening. We're going through the greatest career shift in history. There are 22 million people that left the workforce. You know, it's called the greatest reset or the great resignation, whatever you want to call it. And so I think with COVID, people kind of took a step back and they said, you know, they saw people dying, they saw business closings, and I think people started reassessing, well, you know, what do I really want to do with my life and my career? And so COVID actually brought me more clients, believe it or not.
So your business picked up. Is there anything you had to do differently?
Well, yeah. And like I said, I wished I would have done this earlier, but I use ATS software now. Okay. So when I target a resume, there's a website. I'm giving all my secrets away, by the way. It's a website called jobscan.com, and they give you 5 free scans. And so you upload the resume and you upload the job description, and that algorithm tells you, okay, here's what you need to do to get an interview. And it makes a list. And then I tweak their resume again after I've already targeted. And basically the goal is to get an 80% or higher rating. Okay. So then they all of my clients get interviews. Okay?
Right.
So then I coach them, you know, we find, so I have them select their top 3 companies that they want to work for. You know, do you want to work for a private company? Do you want to work for a major corporation? You know, do you want to work for a mid-sized company? What is it you're trying to achieve? And so then I have them research the company and go on Glassdoor and find out what the culture is and what their, you know, programs are, and, you know, if they have any lawsuits,
right,
or if they're going through any, you know, any litigation. And I want to make sure that they take care of their employees, because I don't want any of my clients to be unhappy in a job. And so we do that. And then we go and start on the interview questions and really nailing down. I want them to be poised and confident. And I tell my clients, look, your goal is to out prepare the interviewer.
right.
We double dog dare them to ask a question that you can't answer.
Right.
And so I do, you know, and I tell them about the different types of interviews. You know, you can have a solo interview, you can have a panel interview, you can have a star interview. And I go through those different types of interviews in the book and how you approach that. And then, of course, you know, I market them on LinkedIn. I wished I would have done this, you know, in 2008, but
Right.
I didn't have the knowledge, you know.
Right. You need the experience, and it evolves for sure.
It does. So
Yeah.
now I feel like, I mean, I am, you know, I'm sort of the guru for these people wanting a good job. And I want to make sure it's the right job and it's the right skill match.
Right.
And I address all that in the book up front, you know, matching your skill sets with the job you choose.
So it sounds like, if I, you know, so you obviously 2020 picked up because of the Great Resignation, people changing. You probably had some more volume, so you had to be a little bit more specific on your processes. It sounds like you outsource some of the work to some software, some automation, which is perfectly fine, right? Because you're still adding your intellect and your abilities. And it sounds like you're getting much more targeted up front, knowing where you're going, so that the job search is more efficient, not just for you, but for the prospect. So,
well, you know, it's the old analogy, John, that, you know, you give a man a fish and he can eat for a day. But
yep.
if you teach a man how to fish, he can get a job, you know, forever.
Right.
He'll know the process and understand, and he'll have the tools at his beck and call, you know.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, and that's what we're doing. We're teaching people how to fish, but we also teach them to build a process. It sounds as if you've built that process, which is going to continue on. and continue to improve,
Hope so.
which is important. So is there anything you wish you had done differently in the last 3 years?
Just been smarter, faster.
Do it sooner. Yeah. You said something I heard other people say before. Whenever I talk about, a lesson learned, they're like, I just wish I'd done it faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you know what happens. And here's, now as I sit back and I reflect on my career and my business, and I say, my goal now is to inspire, others and show them the ropes and give them the confidence and the poise and the know-how to plan their career out and know what these resources are. And all of these resources that I have identified, through my research over the years are all very affordable.
Yeah. If not free. It's
if
amazing.
not free. Yeah.
So,
yes.
There's so many different things that can be obtained very, very reasonably priced now. So if anything, start sooner, be more, sounds like be a little bit more ingenious, a little more.
Yeah. Learn faster. Think about the job market. It's changing so dramatically. And now with a proposed recession, inflation, companies are reassessing jobs. There are going to be layoffs. And so, the journey for a good job continues. So
other than learn faster, what's another big learning you've had since you started your own business that all business owners can benefit from?
Well, what I tell people is that if you ever, I guess basically Mark Twain said it best. If you ever find your passion, it's like you've never worked a day in your life. And what happens to me is, all right, I've got 6 resumes to do over the next, 2 weeks. And I get my coffee and I go out on my screened-in porch and I start writing. And I have good music in the background. I have a small little waterfall in my back. And literally, I look at my watch and it's 5 p.m. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, I've worked all day, and sometimes I don't even turn on my computer till 9,
right.
And so the thing about having your own business is, you set your own time frames. But when you love what you do, you lose track of time, my biggest compliment is for people to say, Susan, you changed my life.
Right.
And that's what keeps me going. It's profound,
Oh, it's meaningful. I know I get when I talk to somebody and the lights go on. It's so rewarding. It doesn't matter what the income is. So find your passion. And what I heard in there, though, find your passion is important. But it sounds like there's also elements of being a business owner that are important that maybe aren't in your passion that you still have to do. Right. Yeah. Because if all you did was do the writing, right, someone has to worry about the invoicing, someone has to worry about the business filings, the marketing, things of that nature that maybe aren't in your passion, but they're essential to doing it. And what I heard there was you need to make time for the other things. You didn't say that, but I'm thinking, okay, well, at some point you have to do the other stuff. And that's one of the things we business owners struggle with is making time for the stuff they're really good at. And
for the last year and a half, I've been writing a book on top of doing resumes. And so my family, my husband has been so supportive. He said, hey, I'll do the housework. Don't worry about it. I'll do the dishes. I'll do the laundry. My daughter, who was my protege from Alabama, now has her own successful business. She's one of the top bloggers in the Southeast. And she also, not only does she blog for major companies like Walmart, but she is also a resort aficionado. So like in Belize, she's been to Belize 5 times in different islands, and they call her. She has a drone, and she takes footage and pictures and gets people to vacation in Belize. And she gets paid for it, and she gets a free vacation. And guess what else? She takes her mother along with her.
Oh, very nice. Okay, well, that's a good idea.
So, so there's a lot of entrepreneurs. My husband is a wine importer for his career. And so we drink a lot of great wines in our retirement. I say semi-retirement.
Right. Well, it's okay to be semi-retired. So the book, when's that coming out? Where will people find out about the book? What do you need to know about it?
I hope it's going to come out on Amazon is my, and my daughter already has a bestseller on Amazon. She wrote a children's book, so she knows the ropes. So, the coach has become the student, and I don't know too much about it. I just know I've got my cover done. I've got the book done, and now she's doing her magic behind the scenes, and I don't even know what that involves, to tell you the truth.
All right. So, but in the near future, your book will be out.
Yes.
Okay. And what's it going to be called? The primary title?
The primary title is Resumes That Guarantee Success.
Okay.
Along with interviews, how to win the interview and win the job, and the top 10 secrets to land a great job. So that's it. And
all right,
John, I really appreciate this opportunity. I really do. I'm hoping that this teaser from my book is going to help propel it in the market.
Absolutely. And so people want to find out, Susan and I are connected on LinkedIn. That's the best way to connect with us. And I assume if somebody wants your information on working with you, they can find you through LinkedIn. Susan L. Wright.
Susan L. Wright. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Career coach and resume writer. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, it's been great meeting you and learning about your business. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be reaching out to you, because a lot of people, if they don't have a good resume, they're going to need a good resume. You always need a good resume, even if you don't plan on moving. If you plan on staying where you are, if you want that opportunity, you still need to do that resume.
You are preaching to the choir.
Oh, I know. I'm preaching to the other people out there. So, but it was great learning about your story and learning about the book. And I'll be sharing this with my audience in the near future.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.